this week's episode of the Mick Tully Show on Women TV. I'm actually, I'm going to have to break character here for a minute, like I'm a professional anyway, right? This gent that's with me today is one of easily the nicest men, not just in British martial arts, but that I know. It's Mr. Brendan Westwood.
How you doing, mate?
Good, man,
nice
good. Brendan is, as you can see, MKG UK Bournemouth, right? The number one guy in the MKG organisation in the UK, easily. By the way, I actually tell people this all the time as well, because Brendan's one of these really lovely guys who just gets on, trains, just gets really, really good. And then every now and again, people will turn around and say, "You do that Carly stuff. You ever heard of Brendan Westwood?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah. Well, yeah, how do you know him?" And I said, "Well, he's younger than me. He's not as good looking as me, obviously. Got the same haircut. But he's my senior, not just in martial arts, but a guy that I look up to you, right? You know, because you're a good example to follow. But we're going to get into, we've mentioned MKG, Minnesota Carly Group, Rick Fay. How did you meet this guy?
My first instructor called Colin Sherrod was, I think when we spoke on the radio, big 6 foot whatever, blonde Adonis guy that was just larger than life. And he held a seminar he was training with Phil at the time, Phil Norman.
Yeah.
And they held a seminar. And Rick came down and we were in this little hall. And he just blew me away. I mean, at the time I had done a couple of 4 counts, a bit of punching, things like that.
Yeah.
And then this Mr. Rick Fay turns up and just starts doing this pad work called Panatukan. We're like, what is that all about? Other than the fact that I didn't get a thing from the first seminar, I had no clue what was going on. No. Not Scooby, you know. But it was one of those things that was so awe-inspiring to see someone move like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, right, brilliant. Let's go.
Yeah, that was, you see, this thing with Rick. First time I ever saw him move, I've said it to him, and I've said, if you haven't watched the episode, watch the episode with Rick Fay. But it was the same with Danny Nosanto, with Terry Barnett, with yourself, with Rick Young. And you see people move, and you just go, no, but don't be modest here. You know, when you see people move, and you just go, I know you always say, you should see me when I could really move, right?
Yeah.
But yeah,
a few years ago.
Yeah. That's not ancient history, trust me. This guy still moves really well. But you look and you go, human beings don't move that well. And it is the truth. It's like, it's just crazy. So how did you start in martial arts first?
Judo was my first thing when I was a kid. Yeah,
everyone was judo as a kid,
judo
right?
as a kid, yeah. And then my dad said to me, "Okay, you can only do one sport." And he was mad into football. And I gave up judo for football, which was stupid.
Yeah, but that led to that really great career with Bournemouth.
Yeah.
Who are now in the Premiership, right?
Bournemouth grassroots, yeah.
Little acorns. Yeah.
You know, and I had 2 left feet, so I couldn't do it. So, and then I got back into, met Colin, and I was trying to find a guy doing JKD. And Colin was doing JKD, and I was like, brilliant. He was on my doorstep, and off I went.
Well, you see, if you don't mind, I'm going to mention this, because I never knew Colin Sherrod. I know all about him. I actually read about Colin, because the great thing that we used to have before the internet was we used to have magazines. It was great because if you wanted to know anything about the UK martial arts scene, you had to read Combat magazine. Fighters used to have it a little bit.
Yep.
Terry O'Neill's Fighting Arts would be there. But what you would get was, I always loved it because it was one of the things that really appealed to me about JKD was you would see an article, it would be about karate, and it would always look like, you know, no disrespect, some of my dearest friends are karatekas and they're wonderful people, but even when they're enjoying themselves and doing karate, they look like they need some Senecot or something, because they're like this, like, just for the... And you go, whoa, man, we need something to aid the transit here, you know, because it just doesn't look like fun. And then you'd see, like, you see Colin and Phil going over, and, you know, some of the stuff that these guys getting up to, they like, goofing around, long hair, t-shirts, the short shorts. Phil, he was
yeah.
You could see what he had for breakfast sometimes.
It's uncomfortably showing.
Yeah. But it was. I like the t-shirts. I like the shorts. I like the guys that were just working out and training.
But you know, with them, it's also the way they were just moved. You know, when you aspire to be something like that, like Phil now, you aspire to be someone of that level. You know, you look at those sort of things like Rick Young, Terry, you know, people you think you aspire, that's what I aspire to get to. And the way they moved, You're right. It was just ridiculous. You know, it's such an embedded motion within their footwork, the angles, everything they did. But they did it laughing, joking, and mucking around and taking the mickey out of each other.
Yeah.
And that's what drew me towards it. And that's what I think drew me towards MKG as well.
Yeah, but you've hit the nail on the head. It would be very remiss of me not to mention two individuals right now, Woody White and Tony Pears. Right,
Yep.
Woody, Tony, I want to interview both of you. I said it to Tony, and Tony goes, "Why do you want to speak to me?" And I went, "Because you're Tony Pears." Yeah, because he's been around forever. He's a great guy. But you see these guys at seminars, or even when they're working out, and like they're moving. And as you said, it's just poetry in motion. And then every now and again, they'll just break the rhythm a little bit, boom, throw a shot in, and then they go back into the flow again. And you just look and you go, me personally, because it really appeals to me, because I'm going, these guys don't give a shit. They're messing around. Imagine how good they'd be if they really, really wanted to go. And then you don't realise it's a strange paradigm of, no, they really, really want to be good, but they don't take it seriously.
Well, that's why they're good.
Yeah, that's it. And it was like, you know, when you were saying about levels and levels, it's like the Carly group. You go over that, and I've seen guys do this. When we used to have the summer camp in Wisconsin.
Oh, I miss those days.
Yeah, well, they were great days, right?
Yeah.
Do you know what? Those great days are back because we're at Calshot and we're doing exactly the same.
We are.
But with English accents, right? A couple of American guys coming over, and we need to make that happen more, right? But it was, went over there, and I remember seeing guys turning up, they were very serious about the material, very serious about the martial art, and they just got laughed at. And in the end, like, none of these guys would ever go mad and storm off, but they just turned around and they understood the absurdity of, you know, it's all well and good being interested and being serious, but when you take it to the point that defines you as a person,
that's the problem. Yeah. Yeah.
You must have seen that.
But I think that depends on where they are in their career as well, you know, or their route on their journey on their training. Because, you know, I got to the stage when I first started, I was really serious, and I used to get angry about stupid little things. Really? I can't do this, can't do that. Oh, why are you feeding the pad wrong? Oh, it's doing this, it's doing that. And then it gets to the stage now, and then because of the influences of Colin, Phil, then on to Rick, obviously, and the way that's all moved me forward. Now it's just like, oh, okay, that didn't work, did it? Oh, should we try something else? Oh, that didn't work. Oh, that one did. Oh, let's do that. Brilliant.
Yeah. Exactly. You see, it's the fact that I've always one of the things I've always loved about the MKG method, and it's mad, right? Because I'm going to let you into a little secret. I got into it, and as much as I love the martial arts, I just love the mindset, and I love the way that I just thought. You know, I love the way. I move pretty well for a large man, but. Very well, actually. No, but what I like the way that I felt when I was moving, but I like the way that I thought, and how, you know, just my thought processes. And then I was thinking, and I remember I came back from Minneapolis, and I was thinking, wouldn't it be great if I could feel like that every day? And it was like, boom, that was a paradigm shift. And I never ever went back.
Definitely. No, you wouldn't.
That was it. I never went back to this regimented, it's like my wife always says to me, you don't care about anything. And I said, Annie, I care about you. And I care about the children. He said, yeah, but you don't care, you know, I'll price up a big job, say, you know, because I'm quality work, reasonable rates. Pensioners ring me on a Tuesday, right? But, right, but she'd be like, why aren't you worried? You know, you've tendered for a big job and it hasn't come in, and I do the Buddha will provide and stuff. But deep down, I really don't care. You know, I've got this far and I'll get further. And I really believe that's come from my training.
It's got to.
I don't know where else it could have come from.
But the thing about the whole, it's a perception of not caring, because everyone does, and it's there. But it's an understanding that it will get there. You will get there. It will be okay, one way or shape. Okay, that route didn't work. That's fine. Let's go this way. That'll work, and we'll always find a way. Yeah, that's what it's taught us.
That's it. So, how long have you been teaching in Bournemouth?
I got my 96 was when I went over to the States to see Rick for the first time. Right. I think was my first camp with Woody White. Right. And we did a week in Minneapolis and a week in LA. Right. And then after that I went back to Minneapolis every year. Yeah. For about 6-7 years after that to the camp, and you know, they're so welcoming and friendly.
Well, I had 11 years on the bounce. And I said to my wife, I've got to go, and it's like if you've ever listened to the podcast, you'll have heard me say this a lot of times. I came back after the first one, and my wife said, "Are you going back?" And I went, "Yeah, definitely." And she said, "Well, I was going to make you go back anyway. I've never seen you this happy." And I was like, "Really?" And she went, "No, you're back to where You always were, you know.
And it's just that family feeling, you know. Because my first year with Woods, we met loads of really great guys. And my birthday weekend as well. The first weekend was my birthday weekend.
Wow.
And they found out about it. Now, because it's Minnesota Carla group, they kind of just pick on you anyway.
Yeah, they do.
Part of the fun of it.
Yeah.
And I was laying down in the camp. They had this great big mat area, you know what it's like. And you lay down, you're having a bit of a break.
Yeah.
So I was chilling out. And I looked up and I saw the instructors covering the doors. And I was like, what are they? Oh, crap. And then basically I had Big Todd. Remember Big Todd?
Todd Atticus, yeah. Atticus
come up,
Todd, yeah.
basically jumped on me. He was just, well, he didn't have to jump obviously because he's huge, and pinned me down. Everyone came around and we were like, whack, 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 because it was my birthday. And it was my first ever experience of camp.
And they gave you the spanks,
Yeah,
right?
they gave me the spanks, and it was just, and weirdly enough, I quite enjoyed it. No,
I normally pay good money for this sort of thing.
but it was just.
What was Todd weighing in at in those days?
I've got a picture of him. So I've got a picture of him holding me upside down like that, and Woody White on his back trying to choke him, and you can only just see Woody.
Yeah.
And I'm like a little rag doll, and I'm just hung upside down. I mean, he's
but
400 pounds. 400.
But I think at his heaviest, he was 450 pounds.
Yeah.
Another guy I want to get. Atticus Todd has been in a ton of movies. When they need a Native American looking dude, he's the guy, right? I think he's about 220 pounds now, something like that.
Wow, I haven't seen him for ages.
Yeah, but he's teaching. But he had sleep apnea, the whole 9 yards. You know, he had the gas mask on. I broke into his room one night, just basically it's caused mayhem. And the guys, like, they said it was a good idea, and it was a great idea. But I walked in it, and he was like literally, he was dropping the Darth Vader stuff because he had this mask on. And he was like, like that. No, Luke, I am your father, right? Funny. So I jump on him, and next thing you know, he's going crazy, and he's like, at the time he was about 425, 450 pounds. And like that's the last dude because he likes his sleep, but he was in Crank 1, Crank 2. He's been in a load of straight to DVD stuff. But he's one of the best actors. I tell you what, you get him to do Shakespeare, that guy will fucking make you cry.
He's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. But he's just trying to get the role for his style and the way he looks and all that sort of stuff.
Well, he was a guy who taught me about 98% rejection, and I was like, what? And he went, yeah, I'm in a business where it's 98% rejection, and he goes, and that's when you're me. He says, so I have a definitive look, and there's only one character. So he goes, so when I go there, I'm not going to play like a generic Irish-looking guy that could be Matt Damon or it could be, you know. I don't know who.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But he goes in there. He goes, they're looking, and he's gone in and goes, "You're not fat enough. You're too fat. Well, your hair's too long."
He one of my stories on that particular first campus where he laid on me and put me in side scarf.
Yeah.
And I was laughing, but he thought I was a mad Englishman. The reason I was laughing is because I didn't want to cry. Because I could not breathe, and I was like, oh, and I was like, well, I'm not going to cry. I'm just going to laugh.
He's an instructor at Guru Dance, right? This guy is a really, really good martial artist, and we did some clinch once. We could be doing an Atticus Todd thing. We'll come off it in a minute, but I've got to tell you this because the visual behind it is awesome. We're doing some clinch, and he grabs me and he throws me. So he does a shake and bake. So if you just imagine a huge Native American looking Vunak. So he grabs me and he's like, woo, and my friend Ty Campos, our mutual friend Ty Campos, turned around and he went, dude, for a minute there you were like a Looney Tunes cartoon. He said, you threw you that fast that you were naked for like 3 seconds because your clothes hadn't caught up with you.
That's like I was like, oh,
yeah, that was exactly that. But it was crazy. So when you went to the camp and then went to the Kali group, you know, what did you think? I've got to replicate that back in the UK, or did you just think I'm going to go there, I'm train, and what was it?
Partly that. I mean, because at the time I was still training with Colin, so I was teaching for Colin. So Rick gave me an affiliate at that time, right? And then I kind of moved up from there onto it. But from a point of view of taking it back, I just wanted to take back what I'd learned and the way that it was put over. Yeah. You know, for me, it's the way that Rick joins the arts together, and he fills in those gaps, the way that it moves forward, and it just makes such a difference to the way you move that I wanted to take it back. And if I could help when I was teaching, when I first started teaching, because Colin was a great instructor. He was one of the best instructors I think I've ever, even to this day, one of the best instructors I've ever seen. Just because of the way that he puts things over. Although the fact he was a great big Adonis guy, and I'm not in that era type of thing, but he would point out the details so well. And I've still got my first lesson plan he gave me. So when he first said to me, right, okay, you're going to teach Thai. This is your lesson plan. These are the details you want to go to. And he pulled me to one side and he go, right, okay, this is what you're looking for. This is what I want you to do. Go do this, go do that. Boom, right, off you go. And this was what, 20 years ago now.
Yeah, another Colin was a man way ahead of his time.
Yeah, he was, easily, and died way too young. Yeah,
tragically.
Yes, absolutely.
Tragically, and that's the one thing that I have found as well with the Carly group is you do realise the value of people. You know, I've always said this. I'm a bit of a sentimental sod. Yeah, you wouldn't think that if you know me, but I am. You know what I'm like. You know, I really value my friends, and it's like if someone's in your life and you just love the fact they're in your life. You just tell them, you know what I mean? I know with Colin, there's a few people that were like, they really wish they'd have just, because they thought, come on, this is a 6 foot odd tall guy who looks like a fucking Viking. He's never going to die. You know, he's the guy that's going to come and see me.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? So just tell us, like, we're in Calshot, beautiful scenery, down on the seaside.
Sun's out.
Yeah, sun's out, guns out, baby. So, was this your idea or was this Rick's idea to get the camp?
My idea.
Yeah.
My idea.
I know this because it's a bit of a loaded story because you rang me up and asked me what I thought the viability was.
Yeah.
And I was like, whatever you do, dude, I'll be there, right?
Yeah,
I'll turn up with 10 people. That's how it works.
It was
9 this year. I was a bit let down one guy. But you know who you are.
It's one of those things. We had the camp in the States. That kind of went by the wayside because of Wisconsin and the issues over there and stuff like that. So I thought, well, okay, why don't we do one in the UK?
Yeah.
You know, and one of the things I look at for the UK market is that I think that they see Rick for a seminar 4 hours, but he doesn't get that much of a chance to see us.
No.
For those 4 hours, you know, he doesn't get that. And in the seminar, height's the wrong word, but you can kind of get away with stuff from a detail point of view, whereas at camp you can't. You've got 24 hours. And you're
scrutinised.
Yeah, you're scrutinised, which is right. And actually, your level just increases. You know, there's no way you can't improve over 24 hours of this weekend. You end up being a better martial artist at the end of it. Full stop.
Too right. You've really hit the nail on there because it is a total immersion.
It is, yeah.
You know, and not only that, you know, I've said this before to Rick. You have friends that like transcend generations and continents and genders and political ideology, the whole 9 yards, and the whole stuff that sounds hokey to some people but is what Danny No Santo always wanted the art to be. It was like, I'm going to get a load of people who are so culturally diverse and stick them into a room with one common goal to get better. And then if you get the guys who don't want to do that, you get them into a common goal, which is there's a pile of Thai pads over there. You have to survive for an hour. And like, you know what it's like? You can't bang your head against the wall that long before you just go, do you know what? Can we just get on now? You know, I'm sick of this. I'm sick of this.
But if you look at this, we've got, 60 people here this weekend. Everyone's just getting on. You know, we've changed the times around a little bit to make it a bit more social and things like that. And last night, the atmosphere was amazing in the bar.
It's great. Yeah.
You know,
and it's open to everybody. I know I say this all the time. I sell this. This is like, and this is a shameless plug. But when you get something good, you got to share it with people.
Absolutely.
And there's always room. We can always squeeze a few more guys in. You know what I mean?
Well, to be fair, I mean we could have bedded about 100.
Right.
Yeah, because they offered us another extra section as well. So there's no reason why next year we can't have 80 to 100 people here doing this, and it'll be amazing.
Well, you see, this is the thing. Last year I came, and I said I'll bring 6. Then this year it was going to be 10. You know, like Alpes, and I can't even mention who you work for, Al, but it's a really, really fast car where loads of supermodels hang out and they race around a track or several tracks. So it's like a sport or something. But even I managed to get him away from the world of Formula One. Oops, I shouldn't have said that. No, I can't say who he works for, right? But no, managed to get him to come along to it.
And actually, it's the first time I've met him. He's a really nice guy.
Al's awesome.
He's great, isn't he?
Al's awesome. Yeah, Al's one of those guys, like literally, people go, he's a really nice guy. I knew he was quite good at martial arts. And they go, he's that good? And you're like, yeah, trust me. Everyone thinks I'm good, but I have to really work at it. Al sees something once. Al's like Rain Man. He's like Dustin Hoffman, but without the ability to count cards. And I know that for a fucking fact. Because I've taken him to casinos, and he's a shit guy to gamble with. Well, actually, we were joking at the time. No, but it's that, you know, the Calshot thing is awesome, right?
Yeah.
But we've touched on how we're trying to bring the organisation together, and you touched on something, and it's something that's close to both our hearts. We know guys that have been connected with Rick, not understood his true value, or and the thing is, you can't say it's right or wrong, because you can't look at people and, you know, look at the way that they conduct themselves by your values is probably the best word I can use.
Value standards, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And now we've got the situation where this is an open house to everybody as long as you come in. The only remit that Rick gives you is you need to get better. Yeah. You just need to be better this year than you were last year. And it's like, yeah, I'm 48 next birthday. And Rick's like, still has room for improvement, Mick. And I'm like, yeah, I believe it. You know what I mean?
All of us can improve.
So what's the future for the MKG UK?
Yeah, it's exciting times ahead. We've got to try and formalise some of the instructorship processes a little bit more.
Yeah.
If we can work on improving our quality control, it's an interesting way to put it.
Well, I said this because I sort of preempted this. I knew how it was going to go, and you know how many guys I've put forward, and being an instructor with Danny Santo is an awesome thing.
Absolutely.
But I don't get to see Danny Santo a lot. And, you know, nearly everything I teach is from Rick. So I have this thing where I go, I'm not that good, but I'm at what I'm good at, I'm pretty good at, you know? So I'll do that. But I wanted to try and build and create something. I've always said this. I want to be in a room full of people that are instructor level. If they're not instructors, because there's 7 billion beginners out there. So the guys that come in, you just bring them in. And it was like, the amount of guys I've put forward, and every single one of them, I've told them the same thing. I will keep an eye on you, and I need you to be, you need to see Rick 2 or 3 times a year.
Well, that's the thing, you see. I mean, you know, I've put a few guys forward as well. And Rick's always said to me, you know, they're still your student. You know that, right? So, okay, so, yeah, but I've passed them on to you. And he said, no.
Same here.
You still need to work with them. You need to do the work with them. You need to bring them up. And that's okay. And that's fine. And actually, I really like that. And the idea of the UK thing is that if we can get, because Rick's really busy anyway, right?
Yeah.
He's got loads of stuff going on. He goes all around the world now. His club's massive now. It's getting really big. MKG's getting a far better name in the UK as well, and internationally. Yeah. Whereas, you know, when we first started our club, it was what's MKG? Who's that? What's going on? But now it's not. So if we can kind of formalise that a little bit more, get the instructors to a certain level, and that doesn't mean to say they're not, by the way. It just means to say there might be the odd gap here or there. And if there is, that's fine. Let's just
I'm one of those guys. It's like, as Rick always says, Rick will look at me and go, too much jiu-jitsu, too much Thai boxing. And everybody, you have to do the double stick with me. And I think my scream is okay. It's not as good as I want it to be, but I think it's pretty good. But I'm adamant that people do it. And, you know, the one thing that I like about MKG, like the Minnesota Kali Group method, and I just love the fact you just go, it's MKG martial arts. And that's what I do now. When people ask me, what do you teach? I go, right, you want the long answer or the easy answer? And they go, what do you mean? I said, well, I can explain to you where my lineage comes from, and Bruce Lee and Jump Fan kickboxing and, you know, scientific street fighting, yada, yada, yada. Or we'll just call it MKG martial arts. So that's what I do. They come in and say, well, what you called? And I said, well, we're called like CSP martial arts, but like we teach MKG martial arts. And I said to Al, I said, we need to try and, the CSP was great at the time because it was, when we called it, it was complete self-protection. And it was
pretty good.
Yeah, but it was complete self-protection against the self. You know, as I said, me and Al started teaching because it was a cathartic thing for Al. He was going through a divorce and he wanted to beat up people all the time. No, he wanted to beat on pads, work out and stuff. And I was trying to explain to him, no. We've said for years that this stuff helps you through the hard times.
It does.
And what you want us now to be like the ultimate fucking hypocrites and not take a taste of this. And we did it and we built it. But as I've said before, when you do it and people come in, and what I get a real kick out of is they come in, they go martial arts, and then next thing you know, they Google you or they spend a bit of time training. And they're like, shit, man, I've had guys say, I really want to do. I want to do something like Jeet Kune Do. And I'm like, really? And they go, yeah. And I said, what do you think you've been doing? And they go, oh, but I thought that was a Bruce Lee thing, wasn't it? And I was like, never met Bruce Lee. And I said, have a look at the T-shirt. And then they go, oh, wow. And I think then it's great, because then they have this renewed vigour, because they were like, I love it already, but I didn't realise it was that cool.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And they don't, MKG, as you say now, they're getting it, though. It's getting out there, and it's the level's just going up.
And it's a cool brand.
It is a cool brand. Yeah,
and there's no political bollocks tied up in it, for want of a better word. You don't come in, you know yourself. Me and you have said this. We're too lazy to have any politics. You know, some guy comes in with an agenda and we're like, you know, smell him like a fart in a lift,
exactly.
right?
Let's just get on. Let's just get on. Let's all learn from each other. Let's all grow. It's the only way to move forward, isn't it, really?
I tell you what, and long may we continue growing and going forward. I hope you guys love this, because Brendan is one of the only people on the planet that I really always enjoy spending time with, and I do.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, and it's great to have a guy that, you know, you can look towards and go, can you give me a bit of help here? Right? Yeah. What am I doing wrong here? And giving me the right advice. And, you know, all I can say is thank you for so much for everything.
No,
and I mean
thank
that.
you.
I mean,
it's brilliant. You'll be out there spreading the word out, which is brilliant.
Testify, man. That's my favourite. That's my favourite. Testify. What's that? Reject Satan. No, it's you shouldn't take it seriously. Yeah, at the end of the day, I'm like that. I'm like a fat Jason Bourne, and they're like, "Do you think you could do this for real?" And you're like,
I hate that question.
Please, I don't know. Do you think? And I'm like, I can. No, I'm pretty handy with that. And you give me 2 sticks, and you want to know whether or not that works. And then the favourite one is, you know, I don't know if I've told you a story. You're going to love this. He's a guy that me and you both know, and he's a nice guy. And I used to teach a couple of classes at his gym, and you're like, this is actually a good anecdote. You'll like it. So he wants me to teach his guys. First of all, he wanted some of the Dog Brother stuff, and I was like, yeah, no problem. So I go in there and I just fucking tie box. Sorry for swearing, but I go in there tie boxing with a pair of fucking sticks. So I'm there and I'm just, but and they were like, no, we want the stick fighting. And I went, I don't know if you understand this, but I believe in Thai boxing more than I believe in these 2 sticks right now. And yeah, whack a guy a few times and make it look like maybe heaven 3 in once or something, right? And then he goes, and he goes, he's got a shock knife, right? So he says, I want them to spar with this shock knife. And I'm looking at him and I'm like, you know, he's a nice guy. He's paying me £60 an hour. And I'm like, yeah, no problem. And so he sends a gentleman that me and you both know, who's a student of mine, who's a great guy. And he said, yeah, he's my number 1 guy, you know, spar with him. So I go, right, okay. So I get this knife and I'm going, and it's a badass piece of shit, right? Because you hit it and it's like a taser, and the whole thing, and it scares the shit out of people. You go, and it's unbelievable. So I'm like this, and I'm doing all this cool stuff with it, and you're like, shh. And I got it in my right hand, I throw it into my left hand, and just drop the guy with a shot. And he was like, he went, that's not knife fighting. And I went, that isn't even a real knife. And he went, yeah, but it's a shot knife. And I said, I don't think he was too fucking not surprised by that. I said, that's a shock fist. But it's, I just don't get it. We do all of that weaponry stuff, and you know, it's, as our dear friend Terry Barnett says, it teaches you body mechanics. I really believe that.
You know, if I didn't do weaponry, any of my empty hand or my Thai boxing just wouldn't be the same. It gives you a different feel, different motion, a different understanding of how your body works, and it trains you so well, especially left and right side. You know, just doing double stick sombrada. With my core team guys on the Saturday, we'd do double stick sombrada for half an hour, and we just play, and it's just fun, and it's you just end up doing it. It's brilliant.
It's the way forward. So I tell you what, we are going to wrap up on this now.
No problem.
This is the last thing that I'm going to say. I know I say that all the time, right? Brendan Westwood, you are available for seminars, right?
I am indeed.
Quality at an affordable price. Now, Brendan is awesome. Some of you guys who are watching this who have me, don't book me next time. Have Brendan instead.